Hello and welcome to Master the Moment. I'm Joe.
And I'm Christian, and Joe and I are the co-founders of the Culinary Executive Mastermind. And in this podcast, Joe and I are going to share with you our knowledge, our experience, and our expertise to help you to create a better life for yourself, for your family, for your career, and for your business.
Hello and welcome to Master Your Confidence. Oh boy, in this series, this is one we both love, huh, Chef Christian? And
Yeah, I totally
go ahead.
agree. Confidence is one of those things which can make it or break it. And I think there's a difference between confidence and true confidence. You could present yourself confident and people kind of see through that.
Right, right. And this what I want to take our listeners to is, we're not just making a list and saying, okay, name three things that give you
Yep.
confidence and shoot it out. This is combined over 60 years between the two of us, things that have we've overhelped our hurdles, and then we've gone through this, and now we're saying back to our listeners, hey, this is the best we've got on confidence. And
Oh,
I,
I
I, I
love that.
just love this. So why don't you lead us off and tell us one of the secret sauces of
So
confidence?
for me, confidence, especially around working in our industry and working in events and doing what you do, and you probably went through that as well with catered events. I think having confidence is planning. Because if I
Yep.
know I have a plan, I have a backup plan for the backup plan, and I have a plan for the backup and backup plan. And because if I know I have everything all mapped out, my
Yep.
team is informed. Because for me, also confidence around events is communications. Everybody knows, everybody's on the same page, and when you execute flawlessly. And sometimes things happen, and you and I spoke about that earlier. For me, a good example around confidence is we did a event in Albany, New York, at the
Right.
Egg,
Right.
a big place where we had a dinner party for 12,000 people.
Wow.
And the place was so big, so we had 19 satellites set up to move product out there, and getting from one side to the other was 3/4 of a mile.
Oh.
Walking back and forth, the place was just, was huge. The state employees drove around in golf carts, and they didn't allow us. We had to walk it. But it
Right.
was one of those things we set up, and there was somebody who pushed a tray of plates, and each cart was full with 750 plates. And he hit this little lip, and you know where I'm going with that. The next thing,
Yep.
we all heard it on our
Crash.
walkie talkies. I was like, oh my god, okay, everybody, how many plates are done? How many plates have we done? And the guy says the whole cart. So we were down 750 plates, and we thought about this because it wasn't the first time it happened. So one of our backup plan was that, we have somebody standing when the plates come back, counting 750 plates, wash them, chill them, and they become the dessert plates.
Yep.
And when I think back, that could have gone south. But I think everybody was confident because everybody knew things happen. Everybody knew that we had a backup plan for that, and it worked. We were lucky with that. But I think the success of that event was that the confidence in that we knew that that event would work well is because of that, because we had a backup plan, we communicated, and everybody executed flawlessly. How about you? What is your number one?
I want to tag on to that because I think we both practice it. Something has gone wrong within the last few years, and somebody came up to me and they said, "Wow, when did you train to have a backup plan of C, D, and E?" And I said, "When I started this industry." And that's how long ago that plan was embedded with us. I just wanted
Yeah.
to reinforce that. It's absolutely great.
And you spot on. And I had somebody on my team, and he's probably the one of the most organized people, and he managed this for us. And because he was so good at it, and it came,
Right.
it came easy to
Natural.
him.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so he was the guy managing that, and he did awesome. And all the credit went to him because we were sitting there a week before the event. Okay, going through the checklist. Do we have everything in house? Do we have everything? Are we ready to go? Okay, what are the 5 things which could go wrong? Somebody burned something, somebody dropped something, all of them.
Yep.
So how do we combat this? And as a group, I think we were like 64 chefs at the time, which we were sitting in and we all brainstorming.
Yeah.
And then for me, that was one of the things what you and I do today. Because for me, holy crap, really the success of the team was we had somebody who was an expertise who shared the expertise because he's a
Right.
good planner,
Yep.
and he executed flawlessly. And the team came together and we all participated. So for me, what we're doing today with our mastermind, that was really. In all essence, that event was executed by a mastermind. It wasn't just by one. We all came together, we executed
Yep.
flawlessly, and as a team, executed on a really high level.
And it brought everybody's confidence level
Yeah.
up, and that's
Mm-hmm.
that's tying into mine also. Mine is definitely throughout my careers being surrounded by my peers, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a spin-off of what pretty much you just said also, but um, I do it on a daily basis. I stay connected with everybody, and that gives me the confidence. And believe it or not, I believe we all share the same situations. We don't use
Mm-hmm.
the P word, we'll say situations. And knowing that your situation and how you overcame it, it just gives the confidence that, hey, we're going to get through this.
Yeah.
The great thing is nobody can stop time. So mine's being around peers. So
Yeah,
what
no,
about another one for you?
yeah, that's great because for me also, so that's operational confidence. So
Yeah,
for me,
yeah,
I think what a lot of people struggle with is personal confidence, and listen, I struggled with that too, and I constantly work on that. But I think around self confidence, the first thing I need to share is really the power of self talk. We are really hard on ourselves, and
yep,
sometimes we are harder on ourselves than anybody else would. We beating ourselves up, and I think just looking at how we speaking to ourselves is for me a big maker of confidence or breaker of confidence. If my mind says me, oh, you always screw up, you always make mistake, you never follow through, you never do this, this is not setting myself up for confidence.
right,
So and rephrasing the question is, hey, what can I learn from this? What is good about this event?
yep,
And if you ask better questions, you get better answers. and
yep,
and you and I, we have these conversations a lot. So why are people struggling with self-confidence? If you go, my best friend's Mr. Google. So if you go to Google and I type in, hey, how to be self-confident, he gives me everything and he doesn't ask for anything in return. You get all of those things. So you have all of this knowledge. Then you could go to YouTube, how to be confident. You get all those videos around self-confidence. So why are people not practicing? So the tools exist, the techniques they exist, the information exists. And my big belief, or my why on that is they're not surrounding themselves with the right people. So
correct,
if you and I together, we can lift each other up and we can push each other down. And having a group which is invested in you as much as you are invested in them, that group lifts you up. And for me, if I have a bad day, I know exactly who to call. If I have a day I don't feel that confident, I talk to my wife about it, and she is absolutely phenomenal. There's tips and tools and tricks out there, but surrounding
absolutely,
yourself with the right people. So that's why I'm saying my number two kind of leads into your number one, is really surrounding yourself with the right people. Have a network which looks out for you, because you don't need anybody who puts you down, and you don't need anybody who talks negatively towards you, because that's a real sapper of not only self-confidence, it's also a sapper of energy. And that kind of goes into my number three, because I think confidence is all about energy, and energy. And for me, it's just the way we sit. If you sit, I can slouch in my table. Does this make me feel confident? Or I can sit up straight
right,
on my chair and and
right,
and give me confidence. I can walk with my shoulders forward and have shallow breathing. How is this making me feel? Versus walking straight. And Dr. Tracy talks to us about this all the time, how important it is.
yep,
For me, all of that kind of combines my number two, which is self-confidence and the way you speak to yourself. How about
yeah.
your number two?
Well, my number two, definitely being a lifetime student,
Mm-hmm.
always learning, and then you overcome your hurdles. Because if it's business accounting, yes, we have a CFO, but I have to know enough in business to
Mm-hmm.
to run my operations. And so I engulf myself in learning all about accounting and how it goes and the culinaries, tricks of the trade. And then I just believe that builds up momentum because the more knowledgeable you are about something, you're standing up straighter and
Mm-hmm.
you're having I think it was a lifetime goal is because I wanted to sit at the same table as of anyone, be it
Yep.
anyone. And as you always tell me too, you have to know just enough to be dangerous, but that
Yeah.
also gives you the confidence level. The last thing, let's go back into being a self learner. I stay in my lane. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I know enough to be dangerous outside my lane, but I stay in my lane. When I'm in my lane, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can touch. And it I believe it's like a snowball. It just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. And again, you wake up with a smile and you know, hey, I'm gonna make 100 calls. 99 are gonna say no, and one of them's gonna say yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it then becomes going back to what my whole life our whole life philosophy, a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lifestyle. So staying in your lane and lifetime student.
Yeah, I love that. That for me kind of goes into my number three, and my number three is kind of split between two. Here are my notes I have: determine what matters to you, and
Yep,
also I wrote know your values, and that could become really one. Because for me, knowing the values, what value can I bring to a conversation? What value can I bring to a meeting? What value can I bring to a project? If
excellent.
I come from a point of providing value, I honestly believe you execute on a higher level because it doesn't come from a place of, oh, how are they going to perceive me if I say this? How about, looking at all of these ifs, which I personally think is a very bad word. Um,
Right.
just looking at it, I think knowing your value and coming from a place of service is for me, I walk into a meeting rather than what is the outcome. I want to rake somebody over the coals, or I want to take advantage of them. I ask myself two questions: what is the win-win for of this meeting, and how can I
Yep.
provide value? And that really helped me. As you know, I came to this country not speaking the language, and have the opportunity to make it to the top 1% of our industry.
Yep.
um, a lot of that came from providing value back, and there was a lot of people which brought value to me, the way they shared how they made themselves vulnerable and offered expertise. And then for me, that's really my number three: knowing your value and determine what matters to you.
Yep. That's excellent. And again, kind of overlaps and comes right into my number
Mm-hmm.
three. My number three is attitude always wins.
Yes.
It's just waking up, having a good attitude, and again, I believe it was Oprah who said it, and it says when we have a difficulty, it's just a small way of saying go the other way. That's all,
Yeah.
you know,
I
just go
I
the other
love
way.
I
So
love that whole attitude thing because um, we getting a lot of question around, hey, how can I skyrocket or 10x my career?
right.
And I think skill is one of the determining factors, but the second is attitude. And you say this all the time, and that's something I learned from you. And for me, that's really around put yourself in the shoes of the hiring manager. If you have two people with the same qualifications,
Yep.
one of them, comes in looking pissed off. The other one comes in with a big smile and ready to make an impact and provide value.
Yep.
Which one are you going to hire? And for me, it's one of those things. You can go to McDonald's, make whatever they're making today, $15 an hour, and you can whistle, while you take out the
Yep.
garbage, and they're giving you $60 because you have a great attitude. And for me, I think the great attitude is the single largest impact in your career, and the value you provide and how you communicate with a group. So for me, I love your number three. It's really a
You,
big
you
one.
know, you hit a nerve there, and it took me all the way back to my apprentice days. And when I was when I was on the line, I was learning how to do pancakes.
Hmm.
Pancakes. And my chef came up, which was a world-renowned chef, and he had says, and I'm thinking in my head, man, I got to get through pancake. I want to get to that steak. I'm going to be this chef, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he comes up and he says, hey, he says, treat that pancake as if it was a steak with
Mm-hmm.
nice caramelized and it was what he was really teaching me was an attitude. Whether it's a pancake or the most expensive beluga caviar, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. It's attitude. And I
I
think that carried through my whole career. And
Yes.
people go, I'll hover over a pancake today. So it flips and it doesn't break and it doesn't bend over.
Mm-hmm.
And so it comes from attitude.
So let me ask you then another question. In your career, you had a lot of employees being, owning your business for 30
Yeah.
plus years. So what was your decision maker when you hired somebody? Did you look at confidence? Did you look at skill? Did you look at attitude? What did you look at when you hired somebody around, having the conversation around confidence?
Oh, it's definitely attitude because I can train anybody in the culinary field. You can't really train confidence, attitude. You
Mm-hmm.
can't untrain it because where they've come from is their lifestyle. And if they're used to arguing with people,
Mm-hmm.
we had again, a talented chef, and he had seven brothers and sisters. You know what he did all his life? Fight. Fight. I mean, it wasn't a good day if he didn't have a good argument.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot of talent down the drain. So absolutely attitude.
I love that because I had the opportunity to work for Chef Bob Bocuse, and as I interviewed with him, um, that was the most amazing thing. He says, "Did you bring your knives?" Yes, chef. Um, there's an onion. I want you to cut it in julienne, and
Yep.
I want you to cut it in a small dice. Okay, there's a pineapple. Okay, take the pineapple, clean it, portion it into six, and then I had a watermelon, and he says, "Make something cool out of the watermelon." And he says, "You have 15 minutes." And he started slicing, dicing, making watermelon. And then he came and looked at it and he says, okay, tomorrow, 10 o'clock. And I was like, he didn't give me any feedback. And
Right.
so I went to the sous chef and I said, hey, what does that mean? What he said, tomorrow, 10 o'clock. I said, do I need to come back? Did I screw up?
Yeah.
And he says,
Second
no.
interview.
Yeah, so, and he says, oh, he said 10 o'clock. You need to be at 10 o'clock, ready to go. I was like, but what am I going to do? He says, he will not give you a title or a position until he sees who you are.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's the coolest thing. Normally you interview for a thing and he just for the job. And my first conversation I asked him, chef, you need to tell me, why did you do it? He says, I just want to know if you know Brunoise and you know
Right.
Apadis and all of that, you speak kitchen French. He says,
Yep.
you Austrians, I want to make sure you knew that. The second thing is you portion out the pineapple. I look at the peelings. I see, do you value the
Waste.
pineapple?
Yep.
Waste, exactly. And do you have a common sense that you could portion out the six portions and everything else I can teach you? And I was like,
Perfect.
that's the coolest conversation I ever had. And
Yeah.
there was something else he said, which kind of stuck with me for my whole career. And he said, so now that and you work, and my first station, I worked a salad station, and he said, when you want to get promoted, you can work really hard or be coachable. So which one do you want to be? Because the coachable gets you faster. And it was one of those things, just working with him. He wasn't around much, but when he was there, just the way he worked with people, the way he communicated. He was the meanest guy I met, but he was also the fairest guy. And it was all about contributing to the team and valuing and looking and taking care of the people to the right of you, of the left of you, because that's how you execute a great service. And
Yep.
that's really stuck with me. And attitude is everything. And for me, you probably see it in your business. For me, if somebody comes to me with a good attitude, hey, I want to become a mentor of yours, selfishly I give him more of
Oh,
myself than
absolutely.
somebody, and
Yep.
for me that's just huge. I mean, attitude is huge. And for me, a good attitude gives confidence, because I think if you portray false confidence or that you try to fake it, I don't like the term fake it until you make it, because I believe in our industry we have a very strong bullshit right now, and we kind of could see through that. And I
Yep.
think there's something vulnerable, there's something really beautiful about somebody saying, hey, can you show me a better way?
Yep.
And and having that mindset, what you just said, that learner's mindset, I think is key. And knowing that I know my subject, and if our listeners want to know what they can do today to become confident in as a chef, the single best thing you can do for yourself: read 1 hour a day
Yep.
in this industry. Pick up a magazine, follow a blog, go listen to a podcast, whatever you need to do. Invest 1 hour a day and your
Cook lunch.
expertise. Yep. And you will become great and confident in something you do.
Wow. That just sums it up too. So let me ask you this, Chef. If somebody wants to be confident and they want to get in touch with us, how do they get in touch with us?
Yeah, that's great. So first of all, if you listen to this podcast, you need to go to Culinary Executive Mastermind.com. You can find us on the net. If
Yep.
you look at us on YouTube, click below. There's a link below where you can get a hold of us. But just reach out to us, text us, email us, send us a note. You can get us on Facebook, on YouTube. You can get us on Instagram. So just reach out to us and come to one of our events. What we talking about here comes all out of the events we do, and every event we finish, we send out a survey, and the feedback we get, and really it creates and makes the program better. And the beauty of a mastermind is a mastermind can help you with confidence. A
Yep.
mastermind can help you with accountability. A mastermind can help you in sharpening my skills. And if you're at a level like somebody we just spoke to a few days ago said, hey, I've been in the industry 45 years. I'm a chairman for a very great organization. I want to just give back. Having you part of a mastermind is great because other people can learn from your expertise and all the things you learned. So there's two things you need to do. Number one, like us and become part of this movement. And the second thing is come and check us out. We have a policy where we allow people to come in for one of the events 100% for free. You
Yep.
have nothing to lose and everything to gain. If you don't like it, thank you. Hopefully you join another mastermind. But if you find some value and make a connection with the group, we would like to kind of stick around and make the program better and become part of a movement. Our industry needs a cheerleader, and help us become that cheerleader.